Thank you so much, Carlos. Do you want to ask questions now, or should we hold questions to the end of the session? Questions? All right, let's leave it for later then. Our next speaker is Antonio Garcia. His presentation is called The Use of gvSIG for Public Safety. He will tell us about the specific case of the local police force at the town hall of Bétera in Valencia. Antonio is a geographer at the Polytechnic University of Valencia and has been working with the town hall of Bétera for over 7 years. Antonio, you have the floor. Thank you so much for the kind words of introduction. I am a technical engineer in topography, and I am also an engineer in geodesy and cartography. I will talk about the local police of Bétera, a small town just north of Valencia. This is the outline of my presentation. By way of introduction, Bétera's GIS includes numerous layers produced by the local police. It allows to visualize numerous layers and allows the local police to see their layers and that of other public agencies. From a police viewpoint, Bétera is a complicated municipality. The surface area is 75 square kilometers, quite different from San Sadurní d'Anoia, the previous example. We have 21,000 inhabitants, and the distribution of population is as follows. We have 24 nuclei, and we have 1,611 small groups of population. Some say, I live in the hamlet XYZ, and it's not easy to find these smaller groups of houses. So much information has been produced and collated by police agents. We have loads of work, and the police officers help us very, very much. So it is important also to work closely with different departments in the town hall. Officers collect information by many means. They use Word files, they produce reports, they have Excel access tables, they take pictures, and everything is copied onto their computers. And at the end of the day, we have numerous files, and patrols have access to this information, and they need to print this information out or Xerox documents, and often request information by radio or by phone. The goal of Bétera's GIS is for all the information in the different departments be digitized and geo-referenced so that it is more accessible, intuitive, and updated. The idea is to decrease queries across departments and automatically detect incidences. Recently, all interventions are registered in an Microsoft Access-based software to that we seek to associate with the cartographic web viewfinder. The idea is if there's an alert that there's been a car crash and there's a casualty, this alert goes off, and this will avoid departments having to contact each other, but rather everything would happen at the same time. All the different departments involved would know this right away, and the idea is also to avoid maybe having some reports or important data going unnoticed. So everything can be centralized. All the information can be centralized, and also, if there are different crimes, the being able to map all of these crimes allows for the officers to learn if there is a pattern or what have you. Local police officers now are in close contact with the different departments and use numerous screens. The local police has the ability to see over public property, and these officers need to supervise the state of cultural heritage and wells and etc., etc. This is an outline portraying the town hall. We have external data, including cadastre data, ortho photographs, information coming from the regional ministry, also the Spanish National Ministry, and there is a central server with a few layers, but in time the number of layers is increasing. The Public Works Department adds layers, the Environment Department adds other layers, and so on and so forth. So these start to pile up, and the police department manages all this. This is very useful for them because, for instance, if they are patrolling and they see works underway, they can swiftly check whether the company performing the works has the permits, and whether they are doing things in compliance with the local rules and regulations and so on. The Heritage Department contributes with data on cultural interest sites, archaeology sites, natural protected areas, protected constructions and buildings, and so on. So this is very, very interesting. You can match old cadastres and new cadastres and heritage sites, and we realize whether everything has been recorded and cataloged or not. As you have seen earlier, there are numerous departments, and thanks to this, we have the cadaster dating from 1930, 1960, and the current cadaster. I'll tell you in a moment how the police uses this information, but we have tax management data, legal services data. All of this is included in the system, and managing this is more difficult than meets the eye. So we have data coming from the environment department, including inventories and containers and so on. So officers can easily access this information. I'll tell you a little bit more in a moment. Let us see how the GIS of Bétera works. Always seeing this through the eyes of local police officers. They work around confidential information. They have users, the citizens' personal details. They need to have basic knowledge and know basic skills of informatics, and they need to be able to edit cartographic and alphanumeric information, so they can update data continually. So we use all sorts of documents. Us technicians use AutoCAD files and hard copies and maps and everything. So we take all of this and migrate it onto the GIS. Sometimes this task is very, very complicated to conduct. So GIS is extremely valuable in doing this. Also, the fact that the software is free is extremely convenient, because if we were to request, say, 6,000 euro to perform this work, then probably the town hall wouldn't have been too happy and would have asked us to digitize and manage this information through a different system, and that would have been a nightmare. So this is easy, and we can use PostgreSQL to have a good database. Here you see the different GIS functionality. You have legal services, cadastre data. We have 25 layers, and you can decide which you need to view at a given point in time, and you get all of this information plus a satellite image. If you click on a specific public work, I have deleted personal details, and you see the date of the works, the license, and for instance, if a police officer is going around and sees that public works are going on, the officer can easily call the town hall and say, give me information about this. Why are these works underway? What's the problem? And they get this information quickly. Again, if they see that there are building works in a plot, they can learn exactly the status of the legal documents, if they have all the licenses and so on. Plus the street view is very, very interesting. Also, this software allows for an investigation without having to go on site. So you can actually see plots, and for instance you can add a layer with the spatial planning general program. So you can see the zoning, you see buildable land, non-buildable land. So you have all the information here available. As for the cadastral cartography, you can use VMS, you can use the 1930 cadaster, and you can see, for instance, the differences, the changes in the main road, for example. And in this case, the main road is no longer where it used to be, but the owner is the same person. So generally the administration will not do anything about it. So here you see that this is also a good way to collate information on borders and properties. Here you have signs, and these signs show specific information, and here you see how information is geo-referenced. It's too small for you to see, but you can attach all sorts of information here online, videos, PDFs, and what have you. This software is also useful to see whether when farmers burn material, if they have the permit or not. Here you see information on the different stores and businesses, so they know opening hours and so on. This is more technical. We take irrigation ditch information, and we study the buffer. This is how a 1930 sheet is georeferenced. Here you see the street directory and street map, and you can see if names have changed, or public works have changed the morphology of the town. Here you see satellite images that were taken at different times. On the lower right hand side you see the legend and symbols. This is to have information on archaeological sites, and we also have information on the different elevations to prevent flash floods. This is useful, but I won't go into all the details, containers and garbage cans and so on. This is the pipings, and when there are leaks or when a pipe breaks, You can go directly to the site and see where the different joints are, and it is also useful for many other uses. Like, for instance, we had an invasion of rabbits, because there were rabbits everywhere and they were eating up crops. So we had information submitted by hunters so that it is easier to learn where the population of rabbits are, and do something about it. So we have endless layers, roads, and this is a project that we will be beginning in short. The idea here is to get information about all sorts of crimes and offenses. This other layer allows us to see how many properties are owned by the same person, and in conclusion, Bétera's GIS is accessible and is updated frequently. Officers can edit data online, so it's no longer, we don't use post-its anymore. You can attach documents to all the elements that have been cartographed. We are going to start a new project, the one I just mentioned, the crime map and offense maps. And this is my personal, here you see my personal details, my email address, and so on. Thank you so much for listening.
Muchas gracias, Antonio.